This podcast is a B-Side Collections production.
Fertility ain't fair.
That's right.
So let's talk about it. Real, raw, unfiltered with me, your friend Infertility.
Happy anniversary, Fertility Ain't Fair community. I am extremely just honored and excited and blessed just to be in the place where we can say we did it. We did it for a full year. We've had a full year of conversations and just breakouts and the stories and learning and educating ourselves. And we have just covered so many topics with so many amazing guests. And I am just forever grateful for our day one listeners to our newest listeners, whether you share, you reach out, or you just pop in and you tune in for different episodes that appeal to you, like whatever it is, however you have supported. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I say that we are just getting started because, listen, the reality is the content will always be there. There will always be another topic, another conversation, another guest as we continue to normalize the conversations around infertility, reproductive health, and parenthood for all. So, I will continue to do this as long as I possibly can. You may have breaks in between or life is life, and so you never know what's next. But I fully intend on continuing to do our episodes. They bring me so much joy and faith and hope. I learn something new every time. I always say that. And so without further ado, look, it is our 1 year anniversary episode, and I brought two of my best girls back. They were also OG guests on Fertility Ain't Fair on season 1. Miss Jana and Miss Chelsea. And so I have brought them back. You probably remember them or their episodes. And I brought them back to just be a part of co-hosting this episode. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm already laughing and we haven't even really got started yet. Yo, welcome to the 1 year anniversary podcast of Fertility Ain't Fair.
A whole year. What in the world?
Like, I cannot even believe it has been a year, y'all. Like, a lot's happened in a year for like all of us. Life has been lifing. It was June 1, 2021 when I was okay, I'm going to stop hiding. I'm going to have a coming out party, if you will, via this podcast that I had been wrestling with for a while with God. And I was like, I'm not ready. Like I was just, in a place where I wasn't ready to, I think, speak my truth and also just be comfortable in my truth, because the truth was that fertility ain't fair, but also that I wasn't happy with the truth. I wasn't happy about being in this group of, 1 and 8. I wasn't happy about being an endo struggler. I wasn't happy about fibroids. Like I wasn't happy where I was in this part of my life. So it was hard to say, okay, let's talk about it, because I wasn't ready yet. And then time happened and I felt like, okay, I have to stop being shamed. I have to stop, putting this judgment on myself. And like, I really need to do this because you can help somebody else. And that was the whole goal. It was like, we can educate, we can advocate together. We can find a place of peace or vent or whatever without judgment and just be here and then build a community from there. So, I'm just it just feels so weird. Like it feels weird.
Flourishing. I mean, I definitely think that you found, what do people say, your corner of the internet?
Yeah.
Your
Yes.
corner of the internet in your community. I mean, I've ran into people and they're like, yeah, I follow this fertility page. And I was like, what's it called? And I was like, I know her. Oh my God. Yeah, I was home. I met a friend who's like been struggling in her fertility journey and she listens to your show. And I was like, oh my God. So it's definitely reaching the right people, and like there's nothing like people, like a community that needs to be uplifted. Like this is such a like emotionally grueling journey, I'm sure. So there's nothing like having support when you feel like you need it the most. And like a lot of times like doctors can give advice, but there's nothing like when another woman who's going through it.
Yeah.
Like I see you, we see each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also, like when you talk about your motherhood journey, I think this is the part that kind of doesn't get kind of categorized as the motherhood part, but this is a very big part of it. It's like who you are as a woman, discovering your body, and, you know, figuring out how to get to where you want to be, which is, you know, conceiving. And so I think there's so much that is not talked about when it comes to motherhood, this whole part. So you have just shown such a big light on, you know, what this journey that so many women are on. And it wasn't until, you know, you started being vocal about your journey that I found out that some of my other friends were dealing with the same thing. And it's like, you really kind of found, I mean, I love that you just had your coming out, because there is so much that you've had to say, so many stories that, you know, so many women resonate with. And so I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's been a year.
Thank y'all. Oh, I love
you. The friend that's always doing the things, honey.
Listen, we're all doing a lot of things, but I thank you guys for hopping back in and for being, like I said, triple OGs of Fertility Ain't Fair on season 1. Y'all both hopped in. We had great episodes, and I still people saying that was hilarious. Who's that girl, Chelsea? Or like, what's
of course
bonus kids? Where the bonus babies at? Like, I still get people asking those questions about you guys. So I was like, who do I want to have pop on with me? And I was like, I want to have these two ladies. So I love y'all in life.
Thank you.
But I just feel like we've all been through a lot over the last year, and I wanted to check in with y'all and just get the updates, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But for now, let's start at the top. So let's see. Let's do our first segment. So I just started these little segments a couple episodes ago. Okay, so we're gonna work these in.
Segments.
Okay, we're gonna work them in.
The girl has a show. You hear me?
A show. Okay. Listen, we have growth from episode to episode.
Look, so our first segment is WTF, and that stands for In This House, What the Fertility. So this is going to be a share-worthy article, story, or factoid that made me go, or someone else go, WTF. So let's first get into the Calvin Klein trans pregnancy ad from Mother's Day. Okay. So for those of you all who may not be super aware of what this is about, because you may have missed it, because it was definitely Mother's Day and it was crazy. Let me see. So in this scenario, on Mother's Day, Calvin Klein released some ads on social, and one of the ads got a lot of attention and also sparked a lot of backlash on social media. So there was a photo of a trans male who is pregnant because he was born female, and his beautiful girlfriend who's also a trans woman. So, you know, their comment was, or their caption was, "And support women and mothers all over the world. We're spotlighting the realities of new families." So that was the whole concept. And actually, since then, these wonderful new parents have given birth to their beautiful son, Noah. So congrats to them. But it was just like, the hate was so high. I mean, just high, like just transphobic hate. And, you know, people bringing up things like, oh, the formula shortage, and just bringing all kind of stuff into the mix, you know. And I think I wanted a space to kind of just chat about it, because families come in all shapes and sizes and forms. And, you know, on our show, we are parenthood for all, no matter how you get there, no matter what it looks like. So did y'all see the ad, first of all?
I did not see the ad until we talked about it, but my whole thing is like, are we pro-life or not?
Right.
I mean, does it matter what the parents look like, what type of life they live? I mean, are we really here for like celebrating children being brought into this world, what it looks like to be a mother? If you identify as a mother, then that's your business. Like, but I think the goal here is to celebrate the fact that you're bringing a child into this world that is going to be loved. And I think that it's just, we put way too many stipulations on. We say pro-life, but then it's like, oh, but you can't be poor, or but you can't be gay, you can't be this, you can't be that. It's like, do we want to have healthy children or not? Do we want to have children who are loved and learn to be accepted and learn to live out loud or not? Like, so I just think the backlash is funny. I understand it because obviously it's something that we're still as a culture kind of like getting everyone up to speed on, but it's just like at the end of the day,
what do y'all want?
What do you want?
Right.
What's the goal here?
Well, okay, so I totally agree with you, Jana. Because I guess for me it's kind of different because I guess I'm still settling in the reality of like, oh shit, I would be one of those new imagined families. Like, I'm the new family structure they're talking about. And so I totally agree. Like, we should just be concerned about children being in happy, healthy, loving environments. But I think that sometimes when it's the ad, and this is where I always say I am not the Black Ellen DeGeneres. Okay. So I do not have all the answers. I don't say all the right things when it comes to like LGBTQ community. Like you said, it's a new culture and a new way of thinking. And so even if you are in the community, there still are questions that we may have. And so like, I think more than anything, I think people always want to put things in a box. Right.
Yes.
And so when it doesn't perfectly fit in that box, it's like, well, what? And I think the ad might be confusing and or jarring because society is like, okay, we're trying to adjust to you are a trans man. And so many trans people are fighting for that identity to be recognized as a man. And it's like, I'm a man. You need to fully recognize me as a man. Or I'm a woman. You need to fully recognize me as a trans woman. But then when you say you're a trans man and then you turn up pregnant, so it's like, are you the man or are you going to be the woman?
What do you want to be? Right.
Where do you want to be? And I think it leans into that space, unfortunately, where there may be ignorance or people say, well, you're confused. You don't know what you want. And so I think that is the larger confusion and or uproar. It's like, okay, well, you told me to accept you for being a man and you're not doing manly things right now.
Right. Exactly. Right. That's a great point. Yeah.
Right. Like you're fighting to be a man, but then you're doing.
But then you want to be pregnant,
woman,
and we have to honor you as a mother.
The woman's role, right? Autonomy, right? You are doing a woman's job, so you're taking out both of the fence.
Yeah, no, that's even as a person in the LGBTQ community, I get the engineering of it all and how it works, and it being two trans couples, but it's also like you're fighting so hard to be recognized as a man, but you're also, I hate to say it in this term, almost taking yourself 2 steps back by falling into what people say, well, I said you were a woman anyway.
Right. I think it's so nuanced, and it's like, it's way more nuanced than an ad could explain, for people who are just like trying to wrap their mind around it, because the way you explained it, Chelsea, is exactly what is reasonable thinking of like, hold on, wait, now I'm trying to get understand, like the whole ad is like,
right.
LGBTQ plus, like, you said, you identify as this, but you're, so I understand that. I think that sometimes brands might be trying to get a little bit too into like the moment, that they're not really thinking that, okay, this is not really a widely understood concept.
Like, let's break it down and educate first, maybe, and then,
right.
Yeah, and that was one of the comments I saw was that, this is like way too woke, and, you are capitalized off of, certain things with society, and you are taking advantage of, a community. And I get all those things too, because we all know that marketing can a lot of times do a poor job of capitalizing off of societal, clickbait. if you will, without really putting context behind it or education behind it or doing a better job before they just like plaster an ad somewhere for like shock value, because they knew it was going to do this. Like, you knew there'd be shock value here. Like,
they prepared for this. They were ready.
They're ready.
I think there's a safer way to do this, right? Hear me out. I was scrolling on Instagram the other day and I followed this page called Mrs. and Mrs. And I'm scrolling and it just stopped. I was like, what is this? It was a, they call stud woman and her feminine wife, and they both were pregnant.
Wow.
Right? She wasn't trans, but she was more masculine. And that is also a different vision of a family. One, two women being pregnant at the same time. God bless them.
Yeah. Together. The hormones in that household.
But also this idea that not all, same-sex couples, is there like this gender role of the man or like the girl, the man and the wife. Like it's still two very feminine, comfortable being in their feminine energy and feminine space and body. And I was like, wow, it was enough to make me stop. But I was like, wow, this is actually really cool and beautiful. And if my wife and I were pregnant at the same time, we probably would look like this. It would also create the dialogue in a comfortable space that the masses would be able to. You got to spoon feed, and everybody's like looking for that
a little bit at a time. Yeah.
But I have to say, from a marketing standpoint, like looking at this strictly for marketing, it's I can see them wanting to just like, if we can grab those people who are reflected in this ad. Yeah. Even if our base doesn't understand, they don't get it, they're still going to shop and buy.
Right.
But if we can just make this kind of dramatic gesture to show that like we are willing to put it on the line to show our support, and gain some support.
I mean,
it's worth the backlash. I think they all have to, weigh the pros and cons. And I think, having the trans community, especially at a time where it seems like everyone is just like taking jabs left and right. There's like so much transphobia. I feel like this was kind of their way of like
making their statement.
Yeah.
I mean, I give them kudos at the end of the day. Like, hey, you did it. I think it's great to show families of all types, styles, color types, that kind of thing. So, I mean, I give them credit for it. It's interesting. I think there was a documentary that I watched. I can't remember where it was or what it was called, but it was about this. It was like maybe 3 or 4 couples that were trans, and they were, the opposite. Did you watch it?
I think I know
what black couple.
What documentary is it?
I gotta find it.
I got on TV.
I randomly watched it one day, like during the pandemic, maybe I want to say.
I need
it was so good. And I mean, it was really, really like, it broke down their entire journey. And like, so you have a man, a trans man, so he looks like a man now.
He's explaining it to his neighbors.
Yeah, the neighbors, everyone had to be involved. And it was just, even going to the doctor, right? Like, finding a right doctor who's going to be able to accept this and work with you and, accept that you're doing this. It was really, really interesting.
And I find the name of that. I watched it.
I want to watch that. I want to watch it.
Yeah. Look, I think Miles was
I can't. I think, like you said, I think it was a pandemic binge.
Yeah, it really. No, it was. I remember watching it by myself, and I was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh my God, there's trans people getting pregnant." But I was like, "No, I can't, not today."
But you know what? I do think that from a marketing standpoint, like Jana said, if there was going to be a brand to do it, Calvin Klein is known for pushing the boundary, pushing the envelope.
Yep.
So I think too, even though it had backlash, I think that because consumers know Calvin Klein to be very genuine when doing these things, I think the people that it's for will receive it.
Yeah. There's always going to be brands who are going to go that, like Ben and Jerry, they be going like guns blazing.
We believe them. We believe them. Like
exactly. And so I think it might not be the most popular, but I think, they probably just prepare for the backlash. And it's like, somebody has to take a stance. We'll be that brand. Because who else is putting pregnant, I guess, men?
Right. Trans families out in the streets.
It's not something you see every single day, even though people like to, act like it is. It's not common.
Well, we here give kudos to Calvin Klein. So, kudos to Calvin Klein. Yes. It's interesting. I also had saw an article about just the fact that they are trying to do it was a trans woman, so born male, trans woman, who is going, or I guess planning to get a uterus implant, not an implant, I'm sorry, a uterus transfer, like a transferring of a womb into her body, in order to hopefully like be able to not naturally conceive. Obviously, you don't have the other parts, but you could do IVF at that point and carry a child. So that's interesting.
Oh, wow.
There was apparently only one other case like this back in the 30s, child. I don't even know at 1930, whatever, how you even attempted to transfer a womb, because that sounds terrifying. It still sounds terrifying. It also failed, and unfortunately that person passed away a couple months later due to complications. But it's a real thing. Like, transferring uteruses is a real thing. Like, the first U.S., I think, successful uterine transfer of a cisgender woman, so a born female, was like in 2016. So like, I mean, it's like any other organ, but it's definitely a whole new thing of like transfer a womb child.
People have so much money, okay? Can we just
so much money? Yes, so much money.
All I'm thinking about is like, how much money does it cost to get a uterus when you did not already have
a used uterus?
Like, I have no actual opinions on the actual act. I'm just like,
how
people out here really with money to just be like, I want a uterus.
Risk and money, because that's all it is for me, is risk and money. Wow. Like,
this too much.
It's interesting though.
I feel like at a certain point, probably they're gonna bring this back up 10 years from now. I do
when
think
you're famous.
Point it becomes almost like how people can become addicted to plastic surgery. Like, you do a nip here, you do a tuck there to make yourself feel more comfortable, and the next thing you know, you don't even have your face, your ass, nothing anymore,
or your uterus,
or your uterus. And I just think that like we need to do this in the bounds of safety. One,
for sure.
Two,
real doctors.
It's like I'm trying to think of an analogy where it's like, yeah, I feel like I am perfect. I feel like I am Irish. My maiden name is Irish. I feel Irish. I can start to take on things of the Irish identity and learn and study and like immerse myself in the culture. But when it comes down to it, the DNA says you are Black. And there are certain things that I'm not willing to fool with. I'm not going to say suck all my blood out and put the blood of an Irish woman in me. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I can embrace this part of me and really like lavish myself and make myself feel more comfortable if like all of the Irish things make me comfortable. But like when you start doing those things, it's like I feel almost to an extreme personally.
Yeah, I feel like it's all about life. It's all about the pursuit of happiness, right? And it's. I mean, not that I don't care, but it's just like, if this is what you want to do, like whatever makes you happy, and you're going to spend the money to do it, and you know, like by all means, go and do what you want. I'm the first person I'd be like, I'm audacious. I'll create the life I want. Well, if I have the money to do whatever, you know, this is just at a more extreme level of like, you know, getting surgery to, you know, but like plastic surgery, you can look the way that they want to look.
Exactly.
You know, I don't see how I'm affected by their decision, as long as if you're bringing a child into this world, it's because you want to love and care for that child.
Right.
You know, I don't feel like I'm in a position to give an opinion on like whether it's right or wrong, or whether like, you know, it's just, this is your decision. You're gonna have to live with the risk. Like Chelsea, you mentioned, it's a big risk. Like if you're willing to take that risk and you feel like you want a child that bad, and the science is available and is modern enough to support that, then like this could be happening without a news story and I wouldn't know about it. It wouldn't affect my day to day. So like if that's what makes you happy, then like by all means, I just want to make sure that kid is loved and happy and healthy.
Well, I say this. Who's going to tell the trans girls that being a woman is wonderful, but it's also very ghetto? You're going to get
ghetto. Okay. Have the hormones started kicking in yet? Okay. Have they started?
Also very
they
ghetto.
couldn't be.
Also very ghetto. And I also think that like, and I commend this person because they're, you know, people say the good, bad, the ugly. He's committed to the ugly part. Like,
all the way. They in the trenches, okay? If you are choosing and paying to have that life, then by all means, baby, you thrive and you prosper.
Kudos to you.
Because at the end of the day, like I just feel like, you know, once again, I agree. Like it should be your choice, your decision, it's your life. And so I'm kind of excited though to see more conversation around it because on some level, it's really no different than any other type of organ transplant. And I feel like here, let me back up. So most of the time,
the head got to turning.
And what I mean by that is I just feel like there should be more conversation and I think a little bit more respect given to like reproductive health as like a really like a medical condition. And so like the same way you wouldn't, I've used this before as an example, like the same way you wouldn't ask someone about like their cancer treatment or like, unless they've invited you in to ask, like you would like overtly ask like, so how's it going in your cancer session? Like, you know, what'd you do today? Like, don't ask those kind of questions, even about reproductive health or like women's health, like your parts, like just stop feeling so free to ask those kind of questions. So I'm hoping that like by normalizing more chatter around, okay, what options do we have? What medically is possible? Like it just kind of invites more open conversation. And also like I think the woman who got hers back in 2016, there was a reason. Like she was either born without it was a very extreme case. Like she was either had no uterus or you could have, you know, potentially had to get a hysterectomy because of fibroids or, you know, you could be in a place where your body was, you had cervical cancer and you could not conceive. Not just like, there's other things I think to this, right? Not just like, you know, handing out wombs left and right, but, you know, for the sake of handing them out, right. Just like loaning out wombs and
here's your discount code for
today. So I like the fact that there could be another extreme yet alternative for someone who is not able to, you know, carry a child. Because like now we have options to conceive scientifically, right? And then we have now options to maybe not conceive, but carry at least. So, you know, I just feel like as long as we keep going in the direction of like, other options for women who really need them, like I'm on board with it. So
that's true. I didn't even think of it that way.
Me either. And I also think, you know, I feel like the government just gets to like toss us around as they please of like what we can and can't do with our bodies. And I feel like if we had more of these conversations of this is the part of the nuance that I'm talking about of like, you know, what to carry, conceive, and like what, you know, motherhood means and fertility and, you know, all those things. Like no one's talking about all this stuff. Everyone's just like, oh, you're pregnant. You got to have it. Life is precious. But it's like, but there's no conversation about
all the in-between,
you know, all the in-betweens of like the whole journey and what is, you know, with this big, you know, movement for, you know, supporting trans women having kids. It's like, you know, there's just so much more conversation and so many more things that we could be saying about fertility and motherhood and having a baby that I think that it makes it a difficult conversation to have because it seems so black and white of like, you know, but there's just all this in between.
It's just it's all gray.
Yeah, right. It's all gray. It's
like all gray at this point.
All gray. All
gray. I would say like even being a woman, I feel like we've been here before with like the overturning and all this stuff like that. And this is probably the first time that I've had or heard so many conversations about the gray area. of like why
Yeah.
you would need this. And,
Mhm.
you know,
Right.
even like a family member of mine having a conversation with me about like she was married, she had already had a kid, and the doctor told her that they named it something else.
Mhm.
It was another like medical term, but it pretty
Mhm.
much was an abortion for her safety at that
Mhm.
point.
Right.
And how she even she told me how like when, you know, when you go to the doctor and they say how many children do you have or how many times have you been pregnant, and they say, you know, have you ever had an abortion, and she would put no, and then in parentheses in the bottom whatever the medical term for the procedure was. She
Mhm.
was like, even that psychologically I couldn't get my mind to say that that's what it is, but now
Mhm.
I'm thinking that is what I needed.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you know, I had to
Yeah.
pray about it, and like I really had to like, it was the first time that I feel like at least I have been a part of larger conversations
Yeah.
of the gray area.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like there's been more than we've ever experienced, like just from all different angles. And I'm glad, you know, it needs to be, like I said, just a part of our day-to-day conversation, and like, you know, you're able to talk about it or hear about it or be support or whatever it is. So I'm glad to hear about it. So
Now I will say this.
what?
Atlanta, home of the scammers.
Oh,
Don't y'all men go getting a uterus and then try to make that a hustle.
off the black market,
Chelsea.
off the black market,
Not uterus off the black market.
Okay, I'm just putting that out there because I know some man is going to have a side hustle.
They be like, I can gestate your baby in 6 months instead of that. What was?
I use this special blue light.
Oh my God, I can't.
Pay a little extra $300 more upgrade.
You want them to have blue eyes? What's up? I charge extra for C-section now.
Chelsea, why you playing? That's about to be a whole market that's about to pop up.
It is.
That's terrifying. Oh my God, I can't. I cannot.
Men will enterprise. You hear me?
Oh my God.
Listen.
And then have to pay for it later, like, and then slap laws on it later.
Exactly.
Like, I can't. Okay, we can move on from that. So I'm just going to briefly mention this because Chelsea, you mentioned it when we first hopped in. So if you have not, and I haven't finished it, I know the story obviously, but on Netflix, if you just need something to watch, that's like churn your stomach, and also
I think I know what you're talking about.
Our Father.
Ooh, child, we watched that on our honeymoon. Okay, raggedy.
Why?
Well, because we have been waiting for it to release, and by the time we realized it was released, it was our honeymoon, so we had to watch it. It's raggedy. It's so raggedy. It was romantic.
From the jump, I love it.
Raggedy. Raggedy.
Okay, what are y'all quick thoughts on
the fact that he is not behind bars and he's still a pastor of a church is what just like does not sit right with me.
Nasty.
And for me, the first thing I thought about as someone like my only option to getting pregnant for real is IVF or infertilization. I don't even know all of the things, whatever. I would have to entrust in a medical professional. And so I'm like, wow, this is the only route I would go. And I was telling Brittany before we started, you already are putting so much trust, hope, and faith into a person. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even think about that layer of like, wow, somebody could really like just switch your stuff up.
Swap. Yep.
Swap. And like it,
and
like I said,
not even feel remorseful.
Sick. Yes. People are so sick.
And keep doing it.
We don't even over 100 times. Oh my God. And so like I told Brittany, I was like, I can't imagine already being in such a vulnerable state. And like, even he admitted that these women were like desperate to have kids and feeling like hopeless, and then someone betray your trust in that way. Yeah. And so when we go for medical care, I mean, already as Black women,
right, we already can't
we don't trust anybody already.
We're already side-eyeing.
A whole nother hood. And then you're like, wow, I really need to be, it's just like, where do I feel safe and comfortable? You know, and so finding that right professional for you and doing research and due diligence, it helps. But I mean, I'm sure that these women did that as well. It was just like,
I think it's just a testament to how unprotected women are and how not cared for we are. The fact that this can happen. And it's like, you don't even think twice about it. It's like, he just does it. He didn't, $500 fine, not even any jail time. It's like, so nobody cares. Wow. Okay, cool.
I remember the first time, like, so So when you go in, right? So when we started doing our IUIs, so that's before we did IVF. So in this process, for those who don't know, it's intrauterine insemination. And so essentially you are prepping your body with some medication, and then you are going in and your partner or your donor will give a sample of their semen, and then they will insert that straight into your uterus via a catheter. And then you're just hoping that at the right moment, things will all come together and you can conceive. Okay. So it's a very non-invasive process compared to IVF and all that stuff. And usually the first line of defense, like if you're a candidate for it before you move on to the big leagues. So on that one, so I had to, the day of my insemination, I would have to get Bo's sample from him like 2 hours before, like it's a certain time window before my procedure, and then take it over to the clinic. They would, double check everything, ask you multiple times your date of birth and all that stuff. They like color code everything. And then you wait an hour or so, whatever it is, they wash it, clean it, and then give you back the sample when you go in for your appointment. So I would he would drop it off. I would come back. Here's a little card that says, this is who I need. This is the sample that I need. It's color coded, right? And so they give it back to you like a little baggie. And so you carry this baggie up to your appointment. It's crazy, y'all. It's like a brown lunch paper bag. It's giving like elementary school like lunch, like for a field trip.
Wow.
It's like
a grown-up Lunchable.
And like it's like hold it upright, don't tilt it. It's like here's my semen. And so all you can do is just hope and pray, right? That semen that's literally going into your body in a minute was exactly what you left, but the best parts of it after y'all washed it and everything. And like, you're right. Like to your point, Chelsea, like the layers of anything dealing with reproductive health or infertility are just so deep. And that's why it is trauma, because nobody thinks about all of those little steps, or being in that waiting room again, or getting that phone call again, or having your blood taken, or having invasive things done to your body every time you go in. And it's just like, there's so many layers. And so like, I'm glad that you kind of brought that up. Like, I didn't even think about if we were doing this, like, the level of trust you have to have with your care team and everyone. Cause at the end of the day, I'm going to the lab for this. This isn't even my nurses, my doctor. It's a random lab tech. Like, please, Jesus, be the right season. Like, please. But yeah, to have someone take advantage of that, as you mentioned, is just, I just can't. And so I'll admit that I couldn't finish it because it was just way too much. Like, and I was telling Chelsea,
the number kept climbing.
Listen, I was just like, as we're going through, and I was telling Chelsea and Jana, let you might have seen it or not. So we started our IVF cycle and all of our shots. And so like, I just was like, it's too much for my mental right now. I can't I can't.
Right. You don't need those type of thoughts.
Plus game time.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm glad we're on the same page with that. And I hope, there's always like class action lawsuits happening and whatnot. So, at the end of the day, I hope they all find peace somehow, some way, and heal from.
And women, we're not just vehicles to have children. Like, we deserve the kind of care and respect of knowing what's going in our body. That's like the bare minimum. That's the bar is on the floor with that.
It's on the floor.
Put in my body what I say I want in my body. Like, that is like the most basic level of respect.
What I'm paying for.
This should not be a controversial law case here. It should not.
And have you seen him?
Child, the genes. Ooh.
That is why he had to do it against women's will, because who was about to be out here
the DNA
willfully having children with him?
That's so sad. I won't go there. I couldn't imagine like, oh, you don't look like
right.
Like, you don't look like who I thought you would look like, but I love you because I really wanted you, I guess. Like,
right.
That
home DNA testing fucked the game up.
It did.
And what was her name? Predators. What was the girl? What was her name? The main character. She was the main girl. She was She was in everybody's DMs. Like, hey, sis.
Hey, sis.
Literally. Hey, sis. You want to know
Oh
about our
my
daddy?
God. Oh my God. Insanity. All right, we're going to move on to our next segment. So, from IG with Love, this is a post or IG page that I am loving right about now, or that I have loved for a while. And so today I want to highlight Hannah's Daughters, aka Daughters of Hannah, and they are an infertility and miscarriage support group for Black women specifically. Join them on IG or Facebook. The post they had this past week that I saw and pulled up real quick that I saved was this. Seeking fertility treatments does not mean that you do not have faith. Read that again. And I liked that because I feel like in a lot of Black and brown spaces, we can do a whole topic on faith and church and people's judgment on, oh, you know, it's on God's time. Just wait for it. Like, the doctors can't do anything. Like, or maybe you don't deserve to have a child, or maybe you haven't prayed hard enough. Like, all of that trash they throw at you from the church folk. And not all, right? Let's be very clear. But a lot of people have an issue with, you know, using medical or science to, you know, try to start a family. And once again, I go back to
insulin, Nana.
Thank you.
I bet you won't stop there.
I go back to, if it was a medical condition of any other sort and I was going to the doctor, you wouldn't be questioning why I
was
the damn doctor.
Right.
So why are you questioning?
Because they be at the pharmacy faithfully getting their medicine. Okay.
Alice's every day.
Calling. They be calling up at the doctor's office ready to curse people out over their meds.
Listen.
Oh, but for us, when you have a child, it's God's will.
Oh, you right?
Then baby, let that blood pressure rise. How about
maybe
that?
You should pray harder. Okay. So
vibrate higher and your pressure go lower.
Again. But they were one of probably the first Facebook like support groups that I had joined, because I just felt really isolated for a while, like being in Black female circles and talking about infertility. You know, now not so much, as we discussed. Like, I feel like it's definitely more openly. It's getting there. But for me, when I first kind of got that diagnosis, I was like, I can't talk to this with anybody, because nobody in my mind I thought I knew looked like me had dealt with literally not being able to conceive or going the IVF route. And you know, I had to spell that myth now, but they are super dope. They are an amazing group to be a part of. And so I just want to shout them out, and also shout out that post, because I was like, yes, like,
that was good.
Don't ever question my faith.
Okay.
Ever.
This journey is a faith testament.
And the thing is, like, it takes wisdom to know when we have the tools and resources around us.
Come on, wisdom.
So we're over here suffering when God has equipped someone with the knowledge and the skill and the expertise to be able to give us the answers we need. And I may say that because my mom is a primary care physician, and she pairs.
Come on, Jen.
But my mom, she pairs scripture with prescription, and she's like, you can, like, just because I'm giving you a scripture does not mean that God has not given me the knowledge and expertise to serve you on a scientific level.
Come on, that's the bedside manner we need.
Scripture and prescription.
I guess that's what Evelyn loved to say. Scripture and prescription.
Come on, Evelyn.
She'll write your prescription, but she'll put a little scripture at the top of it before
Come
she
on,
gives it
Evelyn.
to you. But I think that, you know, I think it's foolish for any Christian to think that we need to rely on God alone, when God has been giving us people who are licensed and have studied and have the wisdom that we need to get where we want to go. And so it's foolish. And I think we Christians suffer unnecessarily just trying to be so holy, when God is like, bro, I gave you the life jacket right here. Like, this,
here's the tools. Right. Here's the tools. Here's the resource. Here's the opportunity.
And you're like, no, God gonna save me. God gonna save me.
Okay.
Nigga, I tried.
That's fine.
I tried. Right. Here's the boat. Get in it.
Like, right. Get in it.
Join her.
That's Evelyn Hall Harris right there. You know, she raised it right.
I love it. I love it.
I love it.
Oh my God. All right, so we'll get into the rundown. So typically this segment is the inside scoop on what's happening in our world and our journey to baby Jackson. But today I wanted to get quick life updates from our co-hosts because it's been a lot. So starting with Chelsea Lamore. So the last time you were on the pod, we discussed fibroids. That was our episode. And so before we get into what's new in your life, let's just first jump back from there. So since then, any updates on the fibroid tip? How are you?
They still fibroiding.
They still fibroiding. They still voiding.
However, I mean, I think with the move, my move wasn't really like this like plan. We literally like, okay, well, let's move to Atlanta in 2 weeks. So, I didn't really have time to like wrap up and put a bow on everything. I have found an amazing doctor here in Atlanta. Yes. A woman. Her name is Dr. Mora. And sis is booked and busy. Because I will not be seeing her until September.
Oh my God.
Okay.
But she's well known for this area, and she has like glowing reviews. I was referred to her by someone I met when I first came here, and then I randomly met someone. They were talking about fibroids, and I said, if you don't mind, who are you going to? And she said Dr. Mora, and I said, well, Dr. Mora is where I need to be, and if them roids been roiding this long, they can wait till September.
Right.
So that's kind of where I am with my fibroid. I'm actually really excited to see her. I feel like the care that I was receiving before, I just kind of felt like it was like, I felt like a Costco experience of the doctor. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I felt it was a larger office, and I felt like even when I speak to other women that have had fibroids and they're like, well, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. And it seems like very basic things. And it wasn't done. I'm like, wow, I didn't even realize the subpar level of care that I was receiving. And I thought that it was fine because I'm, naive to a lot of things and ignorant to a lot of medical practices. And like I said, my mom has fibroids, but it isn't something she talks about with me. I think it's really interesting. Right. I didn't even know my mother had fibroids until I told her I did. And she was like, oh yeah, I've had them too. I'm like,
girl.
So many people have them.
So many.
Yeah. And so I'm excited for my fibroid journey here in Atlanta. I do feel like my doctor is going to be fabulous, and I'm excited to be have the care put back into healthcare.
I love it.
Love that
for you.
I like that.
Love that for you. So in Atlanta, thriving, girl. Thriving.
Thank you, girl.
And we're so happy to see it.
Is that what it looked like?
Yes. Girl, you have found.
No, you've been working out like crazy. Like you look amazing.
You about to be
just Atlanta glowing. You're a peach now.
Snatched. Yeah.
I was mad I couldn't get my dress off for Jana's wedding.
No, you look like you are legit. Like you have found your place. You have like locked into where you need to be. I love it. I love to see it.
It's been amazing for me mentally. I've never left home before. So 31 years old was my first time ever leaving. And it's been amazing I didn't know how much of a positive effect it would have on my confidence.
Because I was going to ask, like, how has that transition, how has it stretched you in like a good way? Like, how has it been you trying to find your, has your confidence, like, did it take a hit initially because you were in a new space, you never left home? Like, how was that?
I think the number one, I always call my wife my secret weapon. And so when people say like, oh, you look like you're thriving and you're so confident, or, this is your space, she has a huge part to do with that. Like us moving to Atlanta was a great move for both of us, but it really was my wife saying, where do you need to be to do what you need to do at the highest level? Because I know you can do it. And when we moved here,
look at that.
She's like, this is what people don't know, child. I'm about to give you the tea. You heard it here first. When we moved here, she took a job, and the job that she had like doubled her salary than what she was making in Richmond. And she was like, look, I don't want you to just take a job because we're here. I only want you to do things that align with where it's going to take you to the next level. I will do the hard lifting and you grind it out. And I have
talk about a life partner.
That's a partner.
And honestly, I feel like that is what people are seeing, to be honest. It's a life of, I get to wake up and like make the choice. And it's still a commitment because I'm a commitment to her of like, I promise I'm going to get this done for us. Don't get me wrong. But what you see is, I feel like a lot of times we make, so at least me personally, I've had to work and do jobs and do things to make money, and not because they necessarily were fulfilling to me. And so to be in a space where I'm only working with, serving projects that are like beneficial to me and like really help me grow and stretch. Cause I was ready to dust off the non-slip shoes and the apron when I got here. Like, if I got
I was gonna say, like, you were never afraid to just be at people's house pulling them shifts.
I'm a hustler. And she was like, you can wait tables at home. You don't need to be waiting tables in Atlanta. What the hell? She was like, there's going to be events and things coming up. And I don't want to hear nothing about, I got to work on Thursday night at the same time to this event. Absolutely not. And so it's been 6 months of like intense soul searching of like, okay, well, what do I really want to do? First of all, and how do I make that happen for myself? And like having someone in your corner that's like, get it done however you need to and at your own time, and not even rushing me, honestly, has been, that's what you see.
Beautiful.
So you see me, but really you see her.
I love it. That's how it should be. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
You are so deserving, Chelsea. I hope you know that. Like,
you are, girl.
You deserve all of this love and
all.
support, because you have always been a grinder. Like, you have always been like, get it by any means. And now to have someone who's able to like grind and tell you to like get it how you need to, like when at the pace you need to, you deserve.
Thank you.
You deserve.
I'm like, yo, Black women deserve this shit. I say this all the time. And like, it may not be completely being able to leave your job, because like I said, we just left with no real plan. But even if it's like, hey, you can scale back some in order to like create and carve the time for your personal project. I feel like so many of us don't get that opportunity. And I'm like, I be wanting the girls to have a love, not this one, because I'll fight you for that one. But
like it. Like Faith Evans said, love like
the fish in the sea. Just don't touch my fish and we good.
We're so sweet. I love that for you.
Thank you.
Y'all. Shout out to Rada. We love her. So, yes.
Rada is a ride.
Ride or die. Okay? Ride or die.
Yeah, period.
So, over to Mrs. now, Jenna Joyner, the newlywed, glowing in her wife status now. Hey.
Hello.
The century.
Mrs. Joyner here.
Ooh.
So tell us about, well, on our episode, it was the Bonus Moms Club. So tell us about a quick update on how that's going. And you got a new marriage, the new house, the babies.
Since I think the last time we talked, I was living in Chesapeake or about to move to. I don't even think I moved. No, I didn't even move. I hadn't even moved to Chesapeake yet.
Yeah, you have to move.
Chris and I were just still dating, and doing the whole bonus. I was a bonus mom, and then literally like got engaged in July. I moved to Chesapeake, and from July until March, like 6 months. I mean, 3 moves in 6 months. We have been like bouncing all over.
Crazy.
And we bought a house in March.
Yeah.
Got married.
Family home.
11 days ago.
Yes.
All the good things. Like life just happened left and right. Like just moved so fast for us, which is how we knew it was just God. But yeah, girl. So I'm over here being Mrs. Joyner, living in our house, our beautiful house, making it a home with me and my husband.
Yes, husband.
You know, the bonus mom thing, that's still going great. You know, I think we're in a different season now, I feel like, with me and my bonus babies, because I came into their life when like Zoe had just turned 2, Bash had just turned 3, and they like needed me a lot more in those like really intimate kind of ways. And so now they're older, like, you know, be in kindergarten and in preschool. And it's just like, you know, what does my relationship look like now that like we're not doing like potty training or relying on me for so much, or, you know, waking up in the middle of the night and needing me, you know, so I'm just trying to, and they're developing their own personalities and they're just so much more aware. And so I am like, what does my relationship look like with them where they are? Like not, you know, they have a mom who is very present and, you know, so who am I to them? And like, what does this relationship look like? And so I've been doing a lot of like researching and just trying to like understand, you know, I've been like in stepmom groups just because I want to, you know, build a healthy relationship with them. And I don't ever want them to feel like there is a competition. I want them to know that like, I am your Jana. Like, I'm not your mom times two. I'm your Jana. And like, we have our own relationship. And so, you know, I had a bonus dad growing up. My stepdad has been in my life since I was 5. Yeah. And so, you know, I think about how he never tried to take the place of my dad. I always knew who my dad was, even though he wasn't present. I always knew who my dad was. But I knew that I had a special relationship with my stepdad. He was consistent. He was like, you know, we just had the space to build our own relationship. So that's kind of where I am now is like, okay, as they move on with their life and like a lot of the decisions, you know, now are between my husband and their mom. I'm not really involved. And so how can I, you know, like, how can I get comfortable in this role that I have with them and be okay with not being a decision maker, but more so like, what does your life look like when you're with us? Right. And how can I contribute to that? So it's been a journey. It's been hard. A lot of therapy sessions trying to figure out my place and figure out, you know, making sure that I'm building a healthy relationship with them. But I think, you know, Chris is really encouraging and he's really like kind of just lets me have the floor and lets, you know, me and the kids kind of like do our own thing. He doesn't try to force any type of dynamic. It's just, you know, I follow the kids' lead and then I kind of come in. So I think we're building a great relationship. I think Zoe loved being at the wedding. She was like... all the kids. She loved it. She loved it. And Chris even said that like when he dropped the kids off the next day, like before he even could get back to the car, he heard Zoe inside like, Jenna and Dana got married. Ooh. And like it was just, you know, the excitement and she was so excited to be a flower girl. So I'm just happy that we're able to kind of create these memories with the kids. Yeah. Especially like being in this new house. The kids have been like in, you know, all the moves that we've had the past 6 months, they've been right along with us, coming to every single place. So I'm just happy that we get to be able to like set down roots and like the kids get to know that this is home. Like this is, you know, daddy's home and it's not going to change. Like this is where we live. Right. So I'm happy to be able to help provide that kind of stability for them and just see how their relationship grows, knowing that, you know, I'm not mom, but I get to kind of create my own special.
You're Janjoy. And I also think that
I love that name. Can I just say that is going to be my new name?
You're Janjoy. And I think too, what I think is beautiful about what you're saying too is like you met them so young where you're able to form a bond with them and like when they look back on it, it's like, oh, I've known Jana my whole life. Like it's not like, oh, my dad got married when I was 15 and she's that woman, you know, like you are literally a part of the fabric of their lives. So I think you should like lean into that and really embrace that and wear that with pride because like I think it's beautiful. Like I think it's so great to have, you know, a step parent. You hear so many, at least people my age, I've heard so many horror stories about bonus parents. And so for someone to be excited and like wanting to do the research and be a part and be so involved, they are already they got A1 bonus.
Thank you. I try to remember that, especially when I'm like hard on myself, because I'm always like, I have to be careful to not attach grown-up thoughts and feelings to like these kids, because I'm like, oh my God, I said this, she might think that, and and it's like, she's 4. Yeah, he is 5. They don't know any of the intricacies of like what I'm dealing with, my insecurities about my relationship with them, or is my bond, you know, good or what. They're not over analyzing anything. It's just all me. So like if I can just kind of get rid of all that bullshit in my head and just focus on, okay, what is my relationship with them? What are the memories that we're going to have together? And focus on those things. I think it'll be, you know, a lot easier. And just kind of knowing my lane. It's like, you know, I get to have the fun moments, which is like, that was hard for me to come to grips with, was like going from them being so dependent and kind of being a part of, I mean, because their mom used to drop them off with me to like keep them during the day, and we would be talking about potty training and stuff. And so like to go from, you know, then when they needed me so much to now they're, you know, a lot more independent. It's like, okay, now my relationship gets to evolve into like the fun, like the bonus part of bonus mom, where it's like all the extra stuff that, like, you know, I don't have the hard hitting responsibility the way that their biological parents do. Now, where does the bonus part come in? What kind of fun memories can we make? What kind of fun things can we do? Little inside jokes, you know, just fun. And so that's what I'm focusing on now. It's just like having fun memories.
I feel like
you've been married.
4 years. It'll be 4 years.
I can clearly remember
your
bachelorette trip, and Jana was like, "I'm never getting married." I could not wait for this podcast so I can be like, remember when?
Oh my God.
I'm just not the marriage type. Like, I just want to basically live life. Like, I don't.
But you remember, Chelsea, the whole bachelorette trip, I was talking to Chris. Like, that was our first. Those were our first few days of talking, and I like made sure I got Wi-Fi so me and Chris could talk when we were sitting on the beach at the hotel. Listen, okay, Nene press.
Oh my God.
It's funny that I was also saying that, but like at the same time, like entertaining somebody who's like
your whole
my husband. I'm on your bachelorette talking to my whole husband. Like, Chelsea, you think I should message him?
Oh my God.
Look, Brittany's wedding was like, good luck for the girls. Okay, I caught the I tussled a little bit.
That's fine.
I'm owning my part, but I caught the bouquet, and a few months later, I was married. You're on the bachelorette trip. I'm never getting married.
And here you are, a whole married woman.
Here I am, a whole married woman. Brittany, something about you.
It's something about the Jacksons.
Something about the Jacksons. Something about the Jacksons.
Magic Jackson.
A whole ass husband.
Here. It's also like a plot because I would just want more married friends in my life. So, got you.
Listen, can I just say that's the other part of life that I did not expect, was just loving to be around married people. Like, Britt, I love when me, you, Bo, and Chris have dinner.
I love those
parties
days.
At the house. Like, those are my favorite. Like,
I love those days
with married people. Like, I just love it. It's the best thing ever.
Yes.
I was like, I want more married friends, like in our age and our circle. So like, I'm gonna keep plotting with my friends until it happens.
Brittany, I know this is your podcast, but I have a question. Jana's newly married. I'm still navigating the marriage space, to be honest. Like, I've only been here 2 years. I'm new here, okay? Still.
I have been here 11 days, so.
I see you, Brittany. You balance friendships, relationship, so it seems effortlessly. And I remember when I first got married, I had like some friends. I'm like, nobody ever calls me to do anything anymore. You know, like, is that a thing? It's just like people are like, you know, well, you're married now. I'm like, well, am I acting different or are you treating me differently? Because I'm the same.
Change, right?
But I felt like
perspective.
You know,
perspective.
Especially my single friends, I felt like, I don't know if they felt like they were encroaching in like our personal time and space time. But I definitely noticed, like, I'm getting way less invitations. Like, it's like I became the old bitch or something.
Old married bitch.
Yeah. And so, like, is that a thing or is it in my head?
I don't think it's in your head. I mean, it, of course, depends on your friend group, but I don't think it's in your head at all. Like, I think that it could be a variety of reasons, right? It could be someone who's not comfortable because maybe they're unhappy with their situation. It could be that someone doesn't know how to transition that friendship into, now, you know, I'm not with someone, you're married. Like, how do we still do this? It's like the same we've been doing it, like, you know, for the most part. So I just think that it's definitely not in your head. It's definitely a thing. And I just feel like every time we have these big life events, as like, you know, getting older in our friendships, like, we have to acknowledge the transition. Like, someone has kids, right? It's like, okay, well, maybe I won't call you no more because you got kids. Like, well, no, don't exclude me. Like,
Just
give
don't
me
call
the
out the
option.
man.
Like, give me the option to say
Right.
no, or like, give me the option to be
Right.
like, okay, not today, but tomorrow. Like, you know,
Right.
I think for the most part, people still want to be included, unless they say, I can't. You know,
Right.
I feel like there has to be an acknowledgement though of like, hey, we're having like major life happenings like in our 30s, so like we have to all kind of be on board with like the transitions. Like, I may not hit you back immediately. I may not be able to go everywhere we used to go, but like I still
Right.
want to hang. Like,
Exactly.
And it's about grace. I feel like it's about giving grace. And if a person isn't as available as you're used to them being because they've, you know, gotten married, then like I think it's important to understand like, okay, this is a major life transition. They have their own stuff that they're working through of like how to be a wife, how to merge lives, how to be now accountable for someone else. When you like, there's so many other things
new
that
boundaries and new territory.
New territory. And so for me, I'm like, the last thing I'm thinking about is a friendship. I'm about to enter into this life partnership, and in my case, like with kids, I need to figure out the dynamic. I may not be able to be to you what you've always known me to be. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to still be a factor. It doesn't mean I don't want to still hang out or you shouldn't invite me places. Maybe you should just ask. And I think a lot of that stuff is projection of like, oh, they're in this next stage, but they're not available. It's like, actually, how about you just ask me? And that's something, maybe this is because I'm fresh off a therapy appointment from 3 o'clock, but it's like,
girl, you sounding off.
No, but it's just like, you know, have you just asked and said like, hey, I am afraid that because you're married now that maybe you don't have time or don't value time with me. And then I can say, actually, girl, I love you and I still want you to hit me up to hang out because I want to go. Sometimes I may not be able to, but I'm still here and I want to do those things. So I just think that like people get weird when it comes to life transitions when it's like, it's all just about communicating what you'd like the dynamic to be and what your capability is, you know, like it's communication on both parts. But I think people kind of just switch up assuming that the dynamic is going to be forever changed when it could really just be a conversation.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, I'm over here giving myself full shots over here because I was like, oh, it's time. I was like, oh no, it's time. So I'm over here giving my shots while y'all on the phone.
Oh my gosh. Hey.
I was like,
hey, no.
And then what mix my legs together.
Hey, do your thing, girl. Do your thing.
But anyway, I was like, while we're wrapping up, let me go ahead and give myself these shots, child. This is
what a way to end the show.
Right?
Right? Real life.
Like on brand. Right.
Life is happening. I gotta do it. I gotta stay on task. Like we're almost at the end of these shot situations right now. So shout.
Oh, good.
Okay, so I guess give out you guys' social and where people follow you again in case they want to catch up with my girls.
Jan Joint.
No, for real.
I am on Instagram, Jana M Hall, JANNAM Hall, HALL. Don't do that.
For now.
I really should change it to Jan Joy. That's my new favorite, like, because I feel like that also encompasses me. Like,
yes,
joyful.
It
does. But yeah, Jana M Hall on Facebook, Jana M Joyner. But the URL is still the same, so it's facebook.com/Jana M Hall. So yeah, that's how to find me on the socials.
Yes.
L'Amour.
Follow her. Catch her while you can before the name change, honey.
Listen, okay, because I'm about to be gone with the wind. Y'all ain't gonna get to find me.
You can follow me at Chelsea L'Amour, and that's LEMORE for L'Amour. And you heard it here first. My new podcast drops on June 1st.
What?
Oh my God!
Oh, what is it?
It's called Girl on the Grow, and it is a daily.
Hold on, I got you. Hold on, wait. Give me 1 second. Hold on, wait.
Yeah. Yes.
Socials will be going live very soon, but
oh my God,
it's a daily 10-minute or less podcast of like basically real life bad bitch affirmations and just to remind you.
Yes, girl. What did I say?
Oh my God.
You have found your like. You are thriving. You are
you.
thriving.
That is so exciting.
It's just something for the girls, like almost like conversations with myself, kind of like what we were having today about like growth and making big girl decisions and all different kind of things. So I'm really excited about it. I wanted to create something that was reflective of where I am in my life right now. Single in the City will be back, but I just wanted something that really represents like the growth that I feel like I've had in this short 6 months. Like, when I was training for the 10K, that's when I was like having all these ideas. I never was that person. I was like, oh, I work out and I just clear my mind. It's like, no, I'm gasping for air. So how am I? I kind of reached that point in like my running journey where I actually was like having periods of clarity. And I was like, you know what? I want to start something new, and it's something I'm really excited to share. So yeah, it's daily, 10 minutes or less, something you can listen to in the car on your way into work or getting dressed on your way down to your computer if you're working remotely. So I'm excited about it.
I'm so happy for you. I can't wait to listen.
Thank you, girl on the grow.
Yes,
I absolutely love it. Congratulations.
Not surprised at all.
I was like, something's coming. I just know it's coming.
Right.
I don't know what.
Because you ain't just moved out there to post cute pictures, bitch.
Okay, period.
Girl.
Period.
But it wasn't a plan, but it just kind of came about. And like back home, I had a studio in my basement. So I have an office here, and I set up my little office, and I was like, I don't want people in my house here. So what can I do? And I was like, this is it. So
girl, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
We will be on the lookout shortly. Dope. All right, y'all. Well, you can follow us, as you already know, or if you don't know, on IG and Facebook at Fertility Ain't Fair. And if you haven't already, check out the My Fertility Ain't Fair journal on Amazon, available now and forevermore, for a place to have, your notes, your appointments, your updates, your thoughts, your events, whatever it is, all in one place. So, ladies, I love you guys both so much. I'm blessed to have y'all in my circle. And thank you for hopping back in with Fertility Ain't Fair. And we'll be on the lookout for what's next from you all very soon.
Yay.
Love you so much, Britt. So proud of you. Congratulations on 1 year.
Yes.
Thank you.
Period.
That does it for this episode, the 1 year anniversary of Fertility Ain't Fair, the podcast. I just have to once again thank the girls for popping in with me again. Thank you, Chelsea and Jana. It is always a blast to have these two ladies hop in on the show and also just be a part of my day-to-day life. I love them both. And I'm excited to see what other updates we will have as a group, coming up very, very soon, because life is just happening. So if you don't already, follow us on social media at Fertility Ain't Fair, on IG and Facebook. You will get updates every single week, awarenesses, words of encouragement, quotes. It could be anything. So make sure you follow us on social media, and also check out our website at fertilityaintfair.com. We have some merchandise on there. And as always, check out our Amazon store. We have the My Fertility Ain't Fair journals on there now. And I'm also looking to do some additional journals, hopefully by the end of this year. So just stay tuned on our socials for that information. But I definitely want to get some more journals out there into the Amazon world for you guys to record all of your good things, your bad things, your in-betweens. And yeah, you will also find updates on where we are, me and my husband, on our journey to baby Jackson on social media. So follow us, check us out, like, share, comment. I'm always down to connect. And also words, if you want to exchange words of encouragement or ask questions, like DM me. It's me. I will definitely reach back out, follow up with you, and always open to connect. So with that being said, what's happening next, right? So it's June, and June has a lot of things happening as far as awarenesses, but it is our number one priority to acknowledge and honor Infertility Awareness Month for June. So our next 2 episodes this month are going to have attachments to that awareness and stories to go along with that. So once again, follow us on social media to find out what's happening next and when you can can check out our next episode of Fertility and Fear, the podcast. So I am out. I thank you. Thank you to every single person, our day ones to our newest listeners. Thank you for allowing us to create this community and be in this space. And just thank you for your support. We will definitely talk on the next episode. And until then, I am your forever friend, Infertility. Stay hopeful.